What's up, guys? I'm BTC. Got some great news. The developers of the game have finally decided that they're going to start banning Smurf accounts. And they're even going to start banning the main accounts that also belong to the Smurf if they're able to find out who it is. And often you can do this because phone numbers may be the same, names and addresses, all that other account information that the game developer has access to. They can match it up and say, okay, all of these accounts belong to this person, we're gonna ban them all. That sounds great. Unfortunately, the game developer is Valve and the game itself is Dota 2. However, there is a very big lesson that Blizzard and the Overwatch devs can learn from this, and hopefully they take some notes, because Overwatch on the competitive ladder has been completely and utterly ruined by Smurfs and throwers. A while back, I ran a little experiment and I kept track of all my matches, and I ended up having about 200 matches that I kept track of. And I found that 1 in 3 matches has either a thrower or a Smurf that ruins that match. And sometimes you can even throw in a lever to add on to that, although those are a little less common than the Smurfs and the throwers. Regardless, the competitive ladder is garbage because Blizzard simply does not do what they need to do in order to get rid of these troublesome players. Sure, they do take steps in order to get rid of some of the cheaters. They have automated stuff that will try to catch the programs and then get that player banned. However, it is far more difficult to use this kind of automated system in order to find people that were throwing or smurfing. To that end, I have repeatedly suggested that Overwatch needs a player review system. More on that in just a minute. First, let's go over what Valve's statement is on banning Smurf accounts. So they say, even the most fairly matched games of Dota can spiral out of control, and no one wants the extra burden of playing against Smurfs. In the past, we leaned heavily on attempting to detect Smurf accounts and move them to their correct MMR more quickly, which has helped somewhat, but still causes damage along the way in cases of extreme smurfing. Starting today, smurfing will be a bannable offense. We will primarily focus on new accounts created after today for which we have high confidence in their smurfing and game-ruining behavior. Moreover, we will also occasionally manually ban old pre-existing accounts that are clearly game-ruining. Furthermore, if you are found to be selling accounts, boosting, or engaged in similar game-ruining behaviors, your primary account may also be subject to a ban. To go along with this, we've recently increased our ban rate for boosters and purchased accounts. For cases where we don't have extremely high confidence, but we do have cause for Smurf suspicion, those accounts are more likely to play with other suspected Smurfs until we gain confidence to judge one way or the other. If you do suspect someone of smurfing in your game, use the new post-game report option included in this update to flag them. This will help us track legit offenders and gather data used to inform our anti-smurf efforts moving forward. Valve is going to be dealing with this in all the correct ways, while Blizzard will continue dealing with this in all the wrong ways that have proven to not work again and again and again. First example is changing the MMR rating of the player. This is what Blizzard currently does. When a player wins a match, if the game thinks that they're much better than they currently are, rather than giving that player 20 SR, they will get 50 or 100 in order to rank that player up to where the system kind of believes that they're supposed to be. The problem with this, and that Blizzard refuses to acknowledge, is the fact that those players will deliberately throw matches in order to drop their rank. And it doesn't have to be hard throwing where they're just sitting AFK in spawn or they're jumping off the map. They can soft throw. Soft throwing is extremely common. And a soft throw is essentially when a player is deliberately trying to lose while making it look like they're not trying to lose. So they'll play the game, they just play it really badly on purpose. They'll attack off to the side, they'll just not use certain abilities when they should. There are all different kinds of ways to soft throw to make your team lose without making it look like you're trying to lose. And that happens all the time, constantly, with people that are trying to use Smurf accounts. The other thing mentioned is boosting accounts, selling accounts, and also putting together full team groups that will throw as quickly as possible in order to D-rank and hopefully not get reported by other people in the match. Because a lot of times people see, well, the other team is just throwing and they're giving us a free win, so whatever. And often they don't even get reported for that. Right now, if you go into Overwatch and you check the looking for group tab, I can guarantee that the vast, vast majority of you will see several looking for group options that will have people that are either trying to sell an account, they're offering boosting services, or they're putting smurfing together, or they are making a group specifically to D-rank. This happens constantly in the looking for group, and Blizzard does nothing about it. This is just one of the things that Valve is currently doing. They have a whole bunch of other changes that they're going to be implementing in order to make the game better, specifically for new players as well. And the reason for that is because starting tomorrow, there's going to be a brand new Dota 2 animated series on Netflix. And by the way, in case you haven't yet, I have a second channel where I cover TV, movies, and all that sort of stuff, and I will be doing a review of the Dota 2 animated series on my second channel, so go over there and subscribe if you haven't already. But the point is that they're expecting a whole bunch of new players because of the animated series. And the funny thing is that this is exactly what Blizzard wants to do with Overwatch. They want to have comics and books and movies and animated shows and all that sort of stuff in order to build out Overwatch into this big franchise, but they're kind of putting the cart before the horse. Because in order to do that, you have to fix the game first before you can have that big franchise. Look, I want to be very clear about something because it's pretty obvious that I'm frustrated about this situation. I'm not saying that the Overwatch devs just aren't doing anything to improve the game. They are. They're constantly working in order to try to make the game better balanced or to add new stuff and new features. Fact is, maybe not the players agree with it all the time, and maybe some of the stuff that they add doesn't work the way that they wanted it to. But the fact is yeah, they are trying to make the game better. But the one area where they just don't put enough attention, and for whatever reason they don't seem to acknowledge being as big a problem as it really is with Smurfs and throwers who are ruining the matches. Going back to something that I mentioned earlier is the player review system. This is something that Valve does extremely well. The fact of the matter is there's just going to be way too many reports for the people at Valve or Blizzard or whatever other company. They're not going to be able to handle all of the player reports. There's just way, way too many of them. So what Valve does is they have this player review system. So if someone gets reported for cheating or throwing or doing whatever, then there is going to be a whole bunch of players, dozens or even hundreds of players, that are going to look at that footage and they're going to help decide whether or not that player was actually doing something wrong. And if they all, or the vast majority of them, agree that the player was doing something wrong, then it gets sent off to someone at Valve, and then someone at Valve can actually review it and say, okay, yep, this person definitely was cheating, or they were definitely doing something wrong, and we're going to ban them. And what this does is it makes it so that Valve only has to look at the reports that have been verified by a very large number of players that there is in fact something very wrong or likely wrong with that gameplay. And it means that you have a much, much more efficient system, and the players that are actually causing trouble will get banned more often. And then the players who took the time to review the footage then get some sort of little extra bonus with experience or items or whatever. It's nothing really super amazing, and it's not determined on whether or not they, voted one way or another. It's just that they're willing to spend their time in order to review the footage. And here's the thing, the more accurate they tend to be, the more of these cases they get sent. If you're really, really inaccurate and you're just kind of going through them quickly and not paying attention, then Valve just stops sending you cases because you're unreliable. I have another video where I completely went over this entire system and how it would work in Overwatch. So if you want, I'll put a link to that down below. You can go and check it out. It absolutely would work in Overwatch. It would be amazing. We already have the replay feature in Overwatch. We already have the ability to look at all of these games and to check it out from a player's perspective and all that sort of stuff. There's no question that Blizzard could do this if they wanted to. I'm not saying that they could make the system overnight. It might take them a little bit of time to do it, to be sure, but it is something that is absolutely worthwhile to add to the game, without question. So again, if you want to check that out, there'll be a link for that video down below. Also, the link to my second channel is down below. If you haven't yet checked that out, go and subscribe. It's got some really fun content over there, some funny stuff that is completely unrelated to Overwatch, just something different that I like to do. Go and check that out. So what do you guys think? What are the chances of Blizzard and Overwatch actually dealing with the Smurf accounts the same way that Valve is dealing with them? Do you think that Blizzard is ever going to do this? Or do you think they're going to do it with Overwatch 2? What do you think? Let me know down below. A big thanks to all the Paragons and other channel members for all your support. If you'd like to become one and grab some cool rewards, click the join button down below. Also, if you enjoyed the video, drop a like before you leave. And remember, always blame the controller because it's never your fault.